I, 24 female, found out my fiancé, 30 male, cheated on me. He doesn't know I know. I am broken far from home. I want to die. My girlfriend of 4 years, with whom I have been engaged for 1 month, and I moved across the nation for school a year ago. We are separated from our friends and relatives. We waited a year for residency and are now both enrolled in school. I am 24 years old and am beginning again at a small college after failing out before. It's taken a lot of work and money to get here, and I'm still processing everything. I was let off 5 months ago, and my emergency money is almost depleted. I apply for many jobs every day, but I have a limited schedule, no experience, and reside in a location with a massively disproportionately high percentage of unemployment, especially for people my age. Obviously, I will continue to look for employment and begin bothering the companies to whom I have applied. I have $300 and am giving plasma to pay my rent. I discovered that my girlfriend had cheated on me at least once. It isn't important how I found out. What matters is that I am certain, and this isn't his first transgression. I know I have to go, but am still in shock. I alternate between panic planning, devising detailed plans on how to pack my possessions and flee, and being persuaded that the only choice now is to commit suicide. I have a therapist, a psychiatrist, and family and friends to help me. I'm too embarrassed to tell anybody yet. I don't have any acquaintances in the region, and no one to assist me in moving. There was an instance 6 months ago when it was a stay or go situation, and I chose to remain and made a big deal out of it. This year, he was in our family Christmas card picture. I'm really humiliated. His name is on the automobile. I've just recently begun school. I'm out of money and can't seem to find job. I have a credit score of less than 600. I'm completely terrified. How am I going to get out? Take out a student loan, relocate, and enroll in online classes. Maintain the pretense till I've accumulated enough money to depart successfully. Ignore the residency problem and return to school paying out-of-state tuition. What if I get my TEFL certification and then flee? I don't own an automobile. I don't reside in a major city. I'm terrified. My emotional resources are depleted and my family is bankrupt. I'm at a loss for what to do and am furious and resentful enough not to admit it. I've exposed it to personal finance, and the general feeling appears to be that I should discontinue school again, but that would upset me much more. I've worked hard to get back into it, and it may be my only choice now. Story 2. Husband of 11 years was with another woman while I delivered our 34-week-old baby on 6/5 who is in the NICU. 3 kids together. I just found out. For years, Miso has been a distant companion. We had 2 children at home, and I was expecting our 3rd. It's been a difficult pregnancy. He refused to come to the hospital every time I was hospitalized throughout this pregnancy. I drove myself to the ER and then back home. I drove myself to all of my doctor's visits. On Tuesday of last week, at 34 weeks pregnant, I was hospitalized for high blood pressure, but released after 24 hours and advised to return for testing the following evening. Husband had intended to leave town. I begged him not to leave, but he did. I was hospitalized on Wednesday and I told him nothing. I contacted him on Thursday and told him he needed to come home because they were going to have to deliver the baby and I was terribly sick. He was golfing. He said that he will go that evening. He said he slept for 5 hours on the way back at a petrol station. Yet he should have been at the hospital by 1 a.m. Still no hubby on Friday. He arrived around 2 hours before the kid was delivered at 1:38 p.m. and departed shortly thereafter. They whisked my precious little child away to the NICU right away, which was terrible. What? I was in the hospital, I saw so maybe twice. He came twice. That's all. He's never been a particularly supportive spouse, so although I was wounded, I didn't think much of it since I was in such disbelief at all that had happened. I was in the NICU on Sunday morning and couldn't reach him. I checked the monitor and my 18-month-old was still in her bed. He slept in and left her in her cot for 3 hours. I had to summon the help of a neighbor to rouse him awake. He was discharged from the hospital at 12:30 a.m., but did not get home until about 3 a.m. that night. So I wanted to be discharged from the hospital early so that I could care for my children at home. He departed shortly after I arrived home that first night to visit the baby in the NICU, or so he said. I awoke at 3 a.m. There is no spouse. No text, no phone call. When I finally got a touch of him, he said he slept a little in his vehicle at the hospital and then went to grab some dinner. It was the same every night, getting enough with him, and I don't accept responsibility or apologize. As a result, I asked him to leave. He gathered his belongings. I'm assuming he'll remain with her. I took him to couples therapy because I was so miserable and wanted to make things better. But how could he never express how unhappy he was all those times? I want a companion. I needed someone to be collaborative and compassionate to me, and I was silenced for years. But I was willing to put up with it since the thought of severing my family was too agonizing to bear. I've met her before. She was aware of everything that was going on. What type of person cheats on their pregnant wife when she is ill and in labor, or uses the NICU as a cover story to spend the night with someone? And what kind of lady is comfortable with it? She has 4 little children. She lives less than 2 miles away. My heart is shattered. I knew he was never a good husband or dad, but this was something I didn't want. I tell myself that in the long home around 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. I'm not answering texts. During the day, I am not at home. Before the NICU, I shower and work out. I really didn't want to accept there was anything wrong. Thursday morning, he was still sleeping, and when I walked in to attempt to wake him up, I saw his phone was open. I'm not sure what made me do it. I'd never glanced at his phone before, but it was all there. Text messages between him and her. They were saying I love you, and he was calling her baby. He misses her and can't wait to see her. He complains about me asking him to pick up my medications for my kidney ailment, or how I had him perform errands for me. I woke him up and asked whether he was with her at night when he claimed to be in the NICU, and he responded yes. I asked him whether he was going to keep seeing her, and he didn't respond. He stated he's been unhappy for the past 8 years of our 11-year marriage, and it's all my fault. I didn't show him how much I loved him. I didn't have term. He is doing me a favor, but I feel like hell. I'm sobbing uncontrollably. I'm terrified and sad, and I'll have to tell our 8-year-old, and I simply can't get my head around all of the unknowns. My baby is being discharged from the NICU today. He's just 5 pounds. He was born prematurely. I'll be a single mother to 3 children, and I'm terrified. I could handle it if I wasn't so emotionally distressed. I wasn't prepared for a kid since I assumed I'd have more time. Now I'm hurrying to purchase diapers and onesies, and I don't even know. So wants to come to the hospital and put him in my vehicle, and I'm dreading it. I don't want to see him, but I'm scared if we don't get along, he'll fight me for the kids. On Tuesday, I'll meet with a divorce lawyer. I'm trying to figure out how to inform my oldest. He wants to go to therapy, but I don't believe I can sit there and listen to him tell me how it's all my fault. He's leaving, and it's all my fault. I'm not sure. I'm in a state of stress and worry, and I feel like I'm going to die. My birthday is on Wednesday, and I'll be 34 years old. In the state where I reside, I have no relatives. I'm not sure who I am anymore. The one bright spot is that I am financially secure. I've worked with the same employer for 10 years and have a decent job. I purchased our home, both names are on it, but I have documentation proving the funds came from me. Because he isn't excellent with money, I've always kept our funds separate. Hopefully, my IRA and savings will remain mine. He has no retirement funds and no savings. I feel he has been concealing money, but I'm sure the lawyers will find it out. How is this my life? And how can you deal with the incredibly deep, gut-wrenching anguish that comes in waves, even though you know it's the correct thing to do? I keep replaying those filthy messages in my head, and I wish I could make them go away.